Chapter 40. After old Master Gu returned to his hometown, he sent people to deliver things to him every few days. Because the 4 members of the Jiao family were not going back to their hometown for the new year, the elders of both families were worried about them. Once they found out that they were from the same hometown, they would send people to bring New Year goods over. In his hometown, preparations for the new year had started early. This year, many people went to the provincial capital to sell things to regular customers, such as fruits and meat products. Therefore, at the end of December, people would call the Jiaopa every few days to get things. The aquaculture industry in his hometown was very developed. Many people contracted fish ponds and there were all kinds of fish. The Gu family raised eels, so it was safer to eat their own food. But that had nothing to do with Zheng Tan. Ever since Celestine moved to the company, Zheng Tan went to Xiaoguo's place, which was the furthest away from the school. There was nowhere else he could go. During the day he couldn't run around outside the school. Outside the school was not as simple as inside. On campus, Zheng Tan could go to many places to relax. Some of the university students who saw Zheng Tan were mostly kind to him. After all, compared to those who had been in society for many years, students were more innocent. But after leaving the school, many people looked at Zheng Tan as if he were a dish. If he was still a human, Zheng Tan wouldn't have noticed anything. But from the perspective of a cat, Zheng Tan could feel what those people were trying to say. Cats who often wandered the streets were very sensitive to people's movements. After walking around for a while, Zheng Tan's feeling became stronger and stronger. Therefore, Zheng Tan always went for walks outside the school at night. There weren't many people at night, so he didn't have to be startled all the time. Most of the working-class people who entered society went home in a hurry at night, so they didn't care too much if they saw a cat. But at the end of the year, many people caught stray cats for walks, set traps and then sold them to restaurants. Some people directly shipped them to other provinces to avoid trouble. This was what cats should pay attention to the most. Zheng Tan had never met a cat trafficker, but he still met a lot of obstacles. As a cat, Zheng Tan still felt a lot of pressure. He had underestimated the mentality and persistence of male cats to fight for territory. Those restless cats would fill a pile of feces, piss or fight with each other. Zheng Tan tried to walk further away by himself, but in the end he came back disappointed. Although Zheng Tan wasn't so bad that he couldn't beat those cats, and those cats weren't so ignorant, there were always 2 exceptions. One night when Zheng Tan was walking towards Xiaoguo's pet center, he met a black cat just like himself. However, that black cat was always surrounded by other cats. Zheng Tan thought that they should be its underlings. To put it elegantly, they were called direct descendants. To put it simply, they were called followers. However, Zheng Tan had never lost a single fight. What annoyed Zheng Tan the most was that this black cat did not learn its lesson. After being beaten down once, it would jump out aggressively the second time. As the saying goes, it was indomitable, and the more it fought, the braver it became. Zheng Tan thought that this guy was purely stupid and looking for trouble. Originally, Zheng Tan thought that this kind of fight was necessary for a cat, and that he had to fight wherever he went. However, one day Zheng Tan found an exception. Christmas was coming and some of the international students in the school were busy preparing for it. Xiaoguo thought about a cat food commercial about Christmas, letting Zheng Tan play Santa Claus, and letting the golden retriever Lord play the elk. When Zheng Tan was taken to the studio by Xiaoguo, he saw Lord squatting next to him. There was a pair of plastic antlers on its head and it was squatting there with its mouth open, panting. It had probably been practicing some of the movements needed in the commercial, and it was only now taking a break. The few cats in Zheng Tan and Xiaoguo's shop had all worked with this golden retriever before. Although there was no so-called tacit understanding, it was not to the extent of discord. The few pets got along well with each other. In Xiaoguo's shop, except for Prince, the few cats had all been sterilized. Although Prince was also a male cat, because it was used to indoor confinement, it was much less aggressive than the cats that Zheng Tan saw on the streets. Moreover, there were so many cats in Xiaoguo's shop that they were used to the existence of cats other than themselves, and rarely fought to occupy a certain area. They had already filmed many commercials and the staff here were all old acquaintances. They all knew that as long as they trained the other roles in the commercial well, it would be fine. As for the black cat, it was an expert that was hired with a high salary, and did not need any guidance at all. Therefore there was a situation where Lord was so tired that it was panting, and Zheng Tan was squatting on the side and taking a nap. Finally, when Lord was able to complete a series of movements, Xiaoguo woke Xing Tan up and started filming. Putting on the silly Christmas cat costume, Xing Tan felt that his IQ was about to be pulled down. It was uncomfortable to wear it. Although it was not too tight, it always felt uncomfortable. Not only that, but Xiaoguo also took a big beard and put it on for Xing Tan. When he put on the hat, it was as silly as it could be. People who saw this commercial would probably complain, "Santa Claus is a black cat, black." Forget it, for the sake of the commercial I'll endure it. I'm also dedicating myself to art. Xing Tan found comfort in his heart. The task of the Christmas cat was to drive the golden retriever sleigh and deliver gifts from the obviously pet center to the cats and puppies. There were cat food, dog food, pet clothes, pet nests, and so on. After the bumpy shooting, Xing Tan kicked off his clothes as soon as he walked out of the set, got rid of the big beard, and squatted on the high cat tree, waiting for Xiaoguo to send him home after he was done. The post-production work was done by Xiaoguo and Yanzi. Yanzi was now a permanent customer of the pet center. Seeing that Yanzi's computer skills were good, Xiaoguo often asked Yanzi to help. Of course, the help was not for free. Yanzi stayed here for free, ate and drank for free, and fed the cats for free. Over there, a group of staff was sorting out the post-production work. The side where Xing Tan was squatting was much more deserted. He had taken a nap before, but now he couldn't sleep. He was bored and looked around. Finally, Xing Tan's eyes fell on Li Yuanba and his mother. Li Yuanba was still the same. The few cats in the store always stayed far away from it. When a few curious cats approached it, it would be forced to retreat by a glance. It didn't even need to raise its paws. A glance was enough to deal with them. This was something that Xing Tan admired. The cat with a mole, next to Li Yuanba, was its son Peanut Candy. Xiaoguo called him Peanut for short. When Xing Tan saw the photo for the first time, he didn't look carefully, so he didn't see the mole next to Peanut Candy's mouth. Peanut Candy's mouth was basically covered with white fur, but the yellow spot next to his mouth was particularly eye-catching in the surrounding white. It looked very funny. Xing Tan thought that in a few months, this mole, the size of a mung bean, would probably grow to the size of a soybean. As for whether this mole would grow to the size of a quail egg by the time Peanut Candy grew to adulthood, that was unknown. However, Xing Tan was looking forward to it and was happy to see it. Peanut Candy's fur was longer than that of other short-haired kittens, but it was different from those long-haired kittens. Zhou Xian guessed that its father was a long-haired kitten or a skewer kitten. Another thing that Xing Tan found strange was the serious expression on Peanut Candy's face. For Huang, the word serious was just a facade, but Peanut Candy's serious expression was really serious. It had deeply inherited the expression of Li Yuanba. However, Peanut Candy was still young and his eyes were still ignorant. He didn't have the aura of his mother. After squatting on the side for a while, Li Yuanba walked into the house with Peanut Candy in its mouth. There was a room that belonged to a swallow, and there was an entrance under the door that was specially designed for cats. Xing Tan could see the room from where he was. He saw Li Yuanba walk into the room with Peanut Candy in its mouth for a while, then walk out again. This time it was alone. Then it didn't walk towards the studio but went to the other end of the corridor. Xing Tan remembered that there was a back door there, but that door was only opened when moving goods or large props and was usually closed. Why was Li Yuanba walking there? Since he had nothing to do, Xing Tan jumped off the cat tree out of curiosity and followed it. Li Yuanba looked back at Xing Tan, who was not far away, and didn't respond. It continued to walk to the back door. There were some goods piled up at the back door, but it was far from the door. There was a small window near the corner. The window was high and open, probably for ventilation. Many of the goods that were shipped in had a strong smell. The height of the small window was not within the range of the cats in the shop, so Xiaoguo was not afraid that the cats in the shop would run out of the small window. Li Yuanba walked toward the window. While Xing Tan was puzzled, it suddenly sped up. It was not running toward the window but toward the side wall. It jumped over it, and when it touched the side wall, it quickly changed its angle. With a kick of its hind legs, it jumped toward the small window with the help of the side wall. It landed accurately. What the F***ck? This skill is F***king awesome. Behind them, Xing Tan's jaw almost dropped. It was really impossible to guard against it. Xiaoguo would never have thought that a cat could escape from the small window by jumping. There were some empty boxes piled up outside the door, which formed a staircase for Li Yuanba to jump down safely. Soon it disappeared from Jing Tan's sight. Jing Tan squatted there and hesitated, then tried to jump directly to the small window. His jumping ability was slightly stronger than the average cat's. After a few tries, Jing Tan gave up. It was so close. Jing Tan started to try the jumping method of Li Yuanba. The first time he didn't control the angle and strength well and directly hit the wall. Fortunately, Jing Tan could still control his body at that moment and landed safely, but his legs were a little numb. The second time it was a little better than the first time. He didn't hit the wall but hit the open glass window, making a bang sound. Jing Tan moved her legs and waited for the pain to subside a little before she tried for the third time. This time she finally reached the edge of the window. She kicked her legs and used her claws to push herself up. Then she poked her head out to look. What Jing Tan didn't expect was that not far away, Li Yuanba was squatting on an empty box and looking at him. Waiting for me? After seeing the black cat at the window, Li Yuanba turned around, jumped off the box and walked out. Jing Tan quickly followed. Trapping a cat was harder than trapping a dog. Jing Tan now had a deep understanding. He didn't know where Li Yuanba learned about it, but it found a few gaps and went in. After a few turns, it left the pet center without being discovered by anyone. At first, Jing Tan was unfamiliar with the place he passed by, but gradually the scenery became familiar. Jing Tan had been here before when he was walking from the school and he met it here. Meow. Just as he was thinking, Jing Tan heard the voice that annoyed him to no end. *CK was that stupid cat. Looking up at the sound, Jing Tan saw the black cat squatting on the short wall, and there were two cat brothers around it. Different from the previous encounters, Jing Tan felt that there was something wrong with the stupid cat today, and the two cats around it didn't come up to join in the fun. After observing, Jing Tan found that the three cats were staring in the direction of Li Yuanba, as if they were facing a great enemy. When the indomitable cat faced Li Yuanba, it would only make a few weak woo-woo sounds and then run away. It was completely different from when it faced Jing Tan, when it knew it was going to lose, but still rushed up to look for abuse. The other cats also ran away. Not only these three cats, but as he walked deeper into the alley, Jing Tan also saw a few cats. Two of them were quite large and there was the smell of their enclosure around them. But Li Yuanba just looked straight ahead and fearlessly walked through their territory. When the cats saw it, they just made a few woo-woo sounds, and when Li Yuanba turned its head to look, they ran away as if there was a big dog chasing behind them. Jing Tan was deeply moved by this situation. From this, it could be seen that as a cat, Jing Tan was still far from being a cat. Strength was one thing but aura was also another. And Li Yuanba could be regarded as a strong woman among cats, a cat in the eyes of the minions. Her ferocious appearance coupled with her domineering aura could completely suppress this alley where stray cats and domestic cats were mixed together. The strong sense of territory of the cats seemed to have disappeared at this time. Jing Tan could see the fear in the eyes of the cats when they saw Li Yuanba. Jing Tan looked at the tortoiseshell cat in front of him that didn't change its pace. It was a kind of aura that was inadvertently revealed. It wasn't an act and it wasn't something that could be imitated by anyone. Jing Tan still remembered that when Xiaoguo first saw Li Yuanba, besides opening the pet bag, he didn't get close to it. Xiaoguo understood pet cats, but on the other hand, it was also related to a kind of message that Li Yuanba itself silently transmitted. The language of cats wasn't lacking. Different tones, different lengths, and different ways of speaking could express different meanings. However, since leaving the pet center until now, Jing Tan hadn't heard this tortoiseshell cat speak. It was completely relying on a kind of silent aura and aura. For people who didn't understand, they might not be able to see this difference. But now Jing Tan could clearly feel that the tortoiseshell cat in front of him was far different from other cats. Appearance was determined by nature, and aura was polished by worldly affairs and time. Jing Tan didn't know what Li Yuanba had experienced, but if a seemingly ordinary cat could have such an aura and aura, its experience was definitely not simple.